My favorite smartphone of 2018, that video's coming up right now. Let's go. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. My favorite smartphone of 2018. Here you see my favorite 3 smartphones, but the one that I use the most is going to be the Galaxy Note 9. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you why this is the phone that I use the most in 2018, well, at least since it launched. This is the phone of choice for me out of all the best phones out there. And in this video, I want to share with you all the reasons. Now, we're going into the new year, so I hope you have a bunch of goals set for yourself, or if you haven't already, at least start getting them ready by today. And I just want to thank you all for all your support throughout 2018. We got plenty of more content and amazing improvements going to happen here in 2019. So stick around. We have a giveaway at 400,000 subscribers. We're almost there. So make sure you're subscribed if you want to be entered into that video. I'm going to explain in this video the things that other phones don't offer that the Note 9 offered me that made me really not care that I wasn't using the XS Max for the majority of the time, or the Google Pixel 3 XL, my other 2 favorites here of 2018. Okay, guys, so we're going to begin by talking about design, but the first thing I want to say is I'm not really concerned too much with the price of these phones because these are not cheap phones. So any one of these you go with, I'm not going to talk much about it because you're going to pay to use any of these. Shout out to Team Pixel for sending me out the Google Pixel 3 XL. Very appreciative of that. Get you a Pixel 3 XL if you want the best camera out there. Now, the iPhone XS Max here doesn't get on my list for definitely not for price, because the XS Max was the most pricey phone I've ever purchased in my life, but you get a lot of technology for that price. So, I mean, it's kind of justified with having the most cutting edge specs. They still could lower it a little bit considering what the Note 9 offers at an even cheaper price point than the XS Max. However, you could say, well, they got a 7nm chip. We can go on and on. People are not liking the prices of the new iPhones. That's just basically what I've noticed. Now, I want to begin by talking about the design of the Note 9. Now, every other phone offered pretty nice design this year, the Pixel 3 not being one that most people loved. I turned the notch off because I don't really like the notch on this device, but it has some curvy feel. The iPhone XS Max also has a curvy feel, but the XS Max has a notch, which is a trend I think is definitely going to be going away soon. So it's something that I don't prefer having on my smartphone, but if it's there, I'll have to deal with it for now. What I like about the design of the Note 9 that the other phones don't offer is it offers a very flat feel. So it's got a wide and tall feel, meaning it's very focused, like it's a very focused feel. So if you're doing work or you're doing anything very intensive on your phone, which I think a lot of Note users are going to be doing, you have a very focused, flat, wide panel. And it also has no notch, so there's no distraction. The curves are not as pronounced as the ones on the S9 Plus, making this, again, a really productive phone for me. And I'm really into productivity as I'm running this channel. I got to do a lot of productive tasks. I loved the design of the front display of this phone. I also think the huge win for the Note 9 was the fingerprint placement. It was in the right place this year. It's very comfortable and it's very fast. So where the fingerprint sensor was on the Note 9 really was comfortable for me, making it one of my favorite designs of this year. Now, it's definitely not the sexiest. It doesn't win any awards for that, but it's industrial enough and it looks good enough to be in my top 3 smartphones of 2018. So the Note 9 becomes my favorite smartphone when it comes to display, and not because it does everything better than every other smartphone. I do think the LG G7 got brighter than the Note 9. The iPhone XS Max also got brighter, at least in control, like where you can control the brightness. If you're in bright, situations like sunlight, then the Note 9 can get brighter than the XS Max, for example, goes up to 1,000 nits, but you have to trigger it through sunlight. You can't just change it to 1,000 nits like you could do on the G7, for example. So it doesn't win that category. The Pixel 3 XL looked a little bit sharper to me when it comes to the PPI and resolution, although it definitely didn't have better contrast and better overall colors than the Note 9. The Note 9 balances a good level of natural look as well as not too oversaturated like prior Samsung phones, with plenty of sharpness at its resolution and the customization, giving it the all-around best display for me of the year. I just really loved the customization factor, how sharp the display was, and also that it just had probably the display that you look at side by side and you say, wow, that's a beautiful display. If I put this next to the XS Max is definitely close. It's very close, but I think the Note 9 just edges it a little bit for just a little bit punchier looking overall. So this to me is the best AMOLED display money could buy on a smartphone in 2018. So the Note 9 gets my favorite phone of the year in terms of software, but not because it has a lot of updates and not because it's a smooth feeling as like a Pixel phone or the iPhones, for example. But what really sets the Note 9 apart for me was its multitasking abilities. So the way you multitask. Now, the Pixel 3 can also split screen, but there was no split screen on the iPhone XS Max, which is a feature that I really cannot live without if I'm doing a lot of stuff on my phone, which I typically do as I'm out and I'm trying to run this channel, and I'm not going to be running it through a phone that can't even do split screen multitasking because I do multiple things at once. Now, what's different from the Samsung phones and the Google phones, for example, is Samsung allows you to switch these apps back and forth like this, and there's just a little bit more fine-tuned control over them. So if I slide away, I can do that, but also I can do a pop view. So let me go ahead and put this in pop view. So I can put it in pop view and I could have little applications everywhere I want. So the multitasking is on point here for the Galaxy Note 9, putting it at my favorite phone when it comes to software because of those features. It's not because of the updates for me. It is a little bit annoying that I don't get updates, but considering that, you know, I'm going to be upgrading every couple of years or so, definitely I like the feature set that comes with this phone for its actual usefulness. It's just more useful to me, even though it's not as updated when it comes to major updates. It will be getting the One UI, and Samsung has been pushing out security patches as it's kind of forced by Google to now have at least monthly updates on the security, but it's the feature set. You're going to be finding features on and on for throughout the usage of this phone. And again, the multitasking is key here for me on the Note 9. Super productive. And every time I'm without this phone, I'm missing it because I'm trying to do something. I got to switch between apps back and forth on other phones. Okay, guys, so when it comes to the performance of the Note 9, it definitely doesn't have the best chip of the year. It was a Snapdragon 845, which was found on the S9 Plus. But that chip is definitely fast enough for the power use you're going to be doing on the Note 9. It's definitely fluid, and I've had no lag on this phone to speak of. But what really shines here for this phone, I got the 512GB, is the 8GB of RAM. This makes a huge difference in applications just not reloading, and I really do not like when apps reload. And with the Galaxy Note 9, this was never an issue. No matter what I was doing, applications were always open in the background, and that's what I loved about this phone, was mostly having 8GB of RAM on a Samsung phone. I don't think I've seen that before. This might be the first one with 8GB of RAM, and that really made a difference in its ability to stay fast versus other Samsung devices. So overall, it might not be the best on paper, but it was good enough and definitely very fast enough that I'm not going to say I got to go to another phone just to have that 7nm chipset when those chipsets aren't even really being taken advantage of at this point in time. And then we have the S Pen. The S Pen is a tool that I use all the time on the Galaxy Note 9. And if you actually make use of your S Pen, this phone is something that you kind of don't want to go to another phone that doesn't have it. I didn't really use that feature where you can take pictures with the S Pen and the Bluetooth remote and stuff like that. That was a good sell at the event when they launched it. But for me, in real world practice, I still used it like the Galaxy Note 8, where basically you just take notes with the phone and stuff like that, or use it as a tool to crop pictures, stuff of that nature. Now, overall though, having this is kind of like, say you're buying two cars, right? And one car has navigation, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto. And the other car doesn't have that, but has all the same features, just doesn't have that navigation, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. This would be that here on the Galaxy Note 9, but the difference is this is the only phone that has this. In the car world, you can kind of upgrade to those features. On other phones, you can't upgrade to this feature. It's the Galaxy Note 9 or nothing when it comes to this. Yes, you got the M Pen on the Mate 20X, but that's separate. It doesn't fit nicely into the Galaxy Note 9. Yes, you have the LG Stylo 4, but that pen is nowhere near as feature-packed as this one and as responsive and just as great as the one on the Note 9. Believe me, I have tried both of them. Okay, guys, so let's talk about storage. The Galaxy Note 9, 512GB option, massive storage here, as well as the ability to keep expanding that storage up to 1TB. This was a huge draw for me, as this phone can last a very long time because it has so much storage. The iPhone XS Max did come with 512 gigs, but there's no expandable memory. And also the way that you manage that storage on the Galaxy Note, because it runs Android, is a lot more like a computer, as you have a more robust file system that's a lot easier to use in a pinch. You don't have to deal with all the ways, the inefficiencies of the way the file system works on Apple. Now, yes, you do have the AirDrop and all that. That's great. But for real, the Galaxy Note 9 operates kind of like a computer when it comes to the file system. So lots of storage, plenty to last you, and the way you manage it is great. So really did like the storage features here on the Note 9. I do recommend using the internal storage if you want faster transfer speeds, however. So I want to talk about the camera quickly. The Galaxy Note 9 definitely, to me, doesn't have the best camera in either photos or videos, but it does do a good balance of both of those on both the front and the rear. The front selfies are a little soft, but they're acceptable. For the Note 9, you can shoot up to 4K 60 on this phone, just like you could do with the Galaxy S9 Plus. You also have the ability to do a super slow-mo at 960 frames per second. You have AR emoji, hyperlapse. This phone is loaded with the features when it comes to camera. You also have a headphone jack for plugging in lavalier microphone. So if you want to start a YouTube channel, you need good audio, just plug a lavalier microphone right into the phone itself and start getting your audio going. You could also get a Rode mic that does plug in here, or something similar that's a microphone that goes in the headphone jack. So that's useful. Having micro SD cards makes it feel more like a camera, as you can store all your photos right on an SD card itself. The Note 9 has an all-around amazing camera in low light, has a variable aperture of f1.5. So I really didn't feel like I had the best video camera when I was on the Note 9. I didn't feel like I had the best photo camera. That would be the Pixel and the iPhone. iPhone for video, Pixel for camera. But what I did like is the low light. I did like the fast dual pixel AF. It's the fastest focus I've seen on any camera. And I also do like the ability to have fine-tune control in the Pro mode and having all the settings right in the camera. The Note 9 is a very versatile camera, and it has a lot of good balance in that camera, making it not the best in every category, but good enough that it's not going to make me want to go to other phone because the camera's so bad. You would really just have to put them side by side, and even then it's very close. The Note 9 is right up there with the best cameras. Even if it doesn't excel at the top spot in every single category, it does pretty much all the things well. So in terms of battery life, the Galaxy Note 9, most phones didn't give me one thing that the Note 9 gives me, and that's really good battery life in actual usage. So when I'm actually using this phone hard, the battery sips on the Note 9, whereas other phones, they're really good in standby. I'm talking about the XS Max, but they don't really do that great when I'm really going hard on the phone. And that's where the Note 9 does shine. But the Note 9 does let me down a little bit in standby. It's not the best I've seen. It's not horrible, but it's just not the best in standby. It's really good when you're actually using the phone, which matters to me because I'm going to be using the device. That's where the Note 9 does shine. So battery, 4,000 milliamp, no longer the biggest. My Mate 20X gets better battery life than this. I'm sure the Mate 20 Pro gets better battery life than this, but still, it's a really solid battery, the best I've seen on a Samsung phone, and that's enough to keep it up there in my favorite phone of 2018. Fast charging in the box adds to the overall feel of just a complete package with the Note 9 having that USB fast charging, USB-C, and you don't get that in every other phone box. You know which one I'm talking about. On to audio. The audio was a joy on this phone as well, because not necessarily because it has the best stereo speakers. I think the XS Max has better stereo speakers in this phone. The Pixels fire at you, but it has Dolby Atmos. It sounds plenty loud, much better than the prior Note 8 that had only a single speaker. What are you doing, Samsung, last year? But we do have a headphone jack here as well. Not as good, again, as what I've seen on the G7 ThinQ, for example, but it's a good balance. It has both features from both those phones. The iPhone XS Max eliminates a headphone jack or doesn't have one altogether. The G7 ThinQ has a single speaker that gets plenty loud on a table, but this one has the best kind of both worlds. So really, the audio was a joy here for the Note 9. On to phone call quality. The phone call quality on this phone was fantastic. Anytime I made a phone call, I had good signal. No people had a problem hearing me, and I had 0 drop calls. This is insane. I had 0 drop calls with the Note 9 since the launch day, and that's quite a few calls here for this phone. So this is an excellent all-around phone as well for a phone. Great signal, great reception, and definitely didn't have no drop calls. So I'm not even kidding. I'm not trying to boast about this phone. This just didn't happen for me at all for this device. So we're at the conclusion of this video. The Note 9 is my favorite phone personally that I'm using the most of 2018. I really wanted it to be the XS Max because I think the XS Max's design is just gorgeous, and I think it's much sexier looking phone than the Note 9. And I really like how it feels in the hand. It's very fast, but the multitasking, I need that multitasking, and it's not here for the XS Max. So the XS Max is an iOS update away with some multitasking features from being my favorite phone on the market here. But the Galaxy Note 9 with its multitasking abilities, like I say, as well as S Pen. I would like to see a pen, at least pencil support for an iPhone as well. Just set it apart. And the Mate 20 Pro is pretty close to me. I have the 20X, which is basically the same phone. They're pretty close, but I don't like the software MUI as much as I like the Samsung software here. So these are the reasons why the Note 9 took the crown for me. What is your favorite phone of 2018? Comment it down below if you didn't participate already in the poll. You now know what I'm using right now for the majority of the time. I still got to swap between these to review them and get a good experience with all of them so I can help you guys out in deciding which phone is for you. But this is the one that I'm going to go to primarily until something better comes out. Maybe that'll be the S10 series, for example. If you found this video helpful, entertaining, informing, click that button, that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you tomorrow in 2019. Have a great New Year's tonight. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well, and peace.